One of the people closest to the president was granted a top-secret security clearance last year, defying intelligence officials and others who were troubled by the decision. The New York Times is reporting Donald Trump knowingly directed his chief of staff to place no limits on his son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner's access to the country's most sensitive information. The Times story says then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly wrote an internal memo about how he was ordered by Trump to give Kushner clearance at that level. And it says the White House's top lawyer at the time also wrote an internal memo about why he recommended against such clearance for Kushner. So why is this such a serious scandal for the president?
He put each and every American at risk because Jared Kushner is roaming the halls of the West Wing. And according to the CIA and according to the intelligence community, Jared Kushner should not be trusted to access classified information.
The security clearance process is a pretty sacred process. The fact that the president weighed in with essentially a political decision and interfered in an investigation or in some sort of background investigation, I think it's unprecedented. I've never heard of anything like it.
The full scope of the CIA's concerns about Kushner is not known, but his application was rejected at least once before after questions were raised by the FBI over his many business conflicts and his initially unreported foreign contacts. Kushner spent this week overseas working on a Middle East peace plan. Among his meetings was one with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, who Kushner is said to have helped mitigate the fallout from the murder of Washington Post contributor Jamal Khashoggi.
We could have, and I'll stress the could, a counterintelligence asset roaming the halls of the West Wing because the president was either too ignorant or too narcissistic to pay attention to his intelligence community.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Though the president has legal authority to grant clearances, a defiant Trump insisted he played no role in an Oval Office interview with the Times in January. I know that there was issues back and forth about security for numerous people, actually, but I don't want to get involved in that stuff, the president said. And a few weeks ago, the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, rejected a suggestion that she and her husband received special treatment.
There were anonymous leaks about there being issues, but the president had no involvement pertaining to my clearance or my husband's clearance. There are literally close to 1 million people in the federal government who are in the pipeline to get their permanent clearance.
House Democrats are in the early stages of an investigation into the security clearance process. But now the chairman of the House Oversight Committee is threatening to subpoena the White House if it doesn't turn over documents relating to Kushner's clearance after the New York Times report.